So you have to do so much replay value of stuff that's frustrating and really irritable on Insanity. And I can understand, you know, being pissed off, because everybody gets pissed off when they do a big firefight on a harder difficulty and you have to do it again when you did it perfectly fine the first time and you died to something like that you felt was bullshit. Everybody gets that and everybody gets frustrated. But you can't say it's bad, because it's not. And that's what I found really interesting when Phil was saying, you know, it feels like an older game. Do you know why it feels like an older game, guys? Because it's demanding, because it's difficult. Most games nowadays don't demand anything of you. They don't demand anything of you at all. And you know what I think is really funny about this particular incident of this and Phil having trouble with it? Is that, you know, if you check out his This Is How You Don't Play Mass Effect 2, it's almost the same as what's happening in this game. It's Phil not taking cover, thinking he can stand out in the open without any kind of repercussion, and getting killed pretty quickly. That's what Mass Effect has always kind of done. This game is just a little bit more deviant with the flanking is all, and sometimes the cover is more dynamically designed so that it's meant to be moved between. There's a reason why the cover breaks a lot, because it wants you to not have a safe spot, it wants you to move, it wants you to have to think about it, have to really think about positioning. Like right now, this is a firefight against some Ket. This is a pretty standard fight. We've got a Destined, we've got a couple of Chosens, there's going to be an Anointed because they're always there, and I could drop into that room and then engage them with them on a height advantage to me and me not really knowing the geography of the room, or I can stay up on this platform where nobody can get to me because I'm too high, and if they can get to me, I hit them with biotics and a scorpion and disincentivize any kind of coming close. And then all I have to do here is bounce my grenades into their cover to get them out of cover or hit them with some kind of spell. And there you go, biotic combo, he's floating, I'm hitting him with grenades, that guy's dead, his buddy's about to be dead. The Angarans are pulling a lot of the cover, the aggro, and staying in cover, and I'm not really at any risk, because my team is getting the attention, and all I'm doing is hitting overloads on shields, taking shields away, and then proceeding to try and hit this Destined as he goes invisible. And it's safe, you know? I'm running out of ammo, which is a concern, but I'm not worried because I can just use my biotics until it's done, and I can tell my team to focus on him, and hopefully Drac will get in there with his attacks as he's doing right now. And there you go, I've told them to focus, and the fight is over. At no point in that fight was I ever really at risk, because I controlled the engagement by being in a superior position. If you jump into that room, you're not in a superior position, but you can still do it because there's so much cover provided. And that's the fun part of the combat in this particular game. The combat puzzle presented here is of that nature. It's how do I put myself in a spot where I'm safe for long enough to conquer what's trying to kill me. And not every third-person shooter's like that. A lot of the old Mass Effects. I played Mass Effect 1 by being as far away from the enemies as I physically could and shooting them with sniper rifles. And every time they got close, I commanded my team to hit them with biotics and techs. That's what I did. That's how I played, and I had a lot of fun playing it because it was effective. And the moment something rushed me is when you shit your pants, and then the immunity dance began. Mass Effect 2, a lot of the times you couldn't really do too much of that because the levels were designed differently. So on Mass Effect 2, because they made the shooting a bit more, you know, modernized and standardized, you found yourself doing those cover wars where you were in a piece of cover that was really good and nothing forced you out of it. Nothing at all, really, and you just kind of managed and killed them and pushed forward slowly, incrementally with your team and everything. And it was much more of a cover-based shooter. The third game went even further that way, and the only real reason where you moved away from a safe spot was because if a Banshee was about to grab you, or a Phantom was about to grab you. Do you see a pattern emerging here with those bullshit one-hit kill grabs that had silly detection? Those were the only real reasons that you deviated, unless you played it in a different playstyle. You might have been a Vanguard or something. And that's another, you know, feather in the cap of this one. It plays a lot differently. It's reminiscent and similar, but it's different because of just the way the game forces you to move. And Mass Effect has always had enemies that challenged you. It was just not as evident, or if it was, I forgot about it, which is a really good reason for me to go back and play Mass Effect 1 and 2 again, which I think I'm going to do, guys. I think I'm going to cover them on PC. I'm going to pick them up because I think my dad's bought them, and I'm going to get them on max settings, and I'm going to do mouse and keyboard, and I'm going to try and get comfortable with mouse and keyboard while I play some Mass Effect, and I think that could be really fun. And just see how they stack up, because Andromeda is getting shit on, and it's getting shit on for some good reasons, but I still think that there is a fun game here. I think it's an average Mass Effect, and I think a lot of the ways that you expect Mass Effect to be weak, this game is strong. And in a lot of ways where you expect it to be strong, this game is weak. And at the same time, though, I think people are being overly cruel. And me saying that might sound kind of, you know, hilarious to some people, because I get accused of being overly picky and critical of games all the time. But it seems to be only by randoms, by people that don't really understand the channel, and they can't understand why I'm talking about how something could be better, instead of just being like, ooh, that sky looks blue, this is great. I'm just not that guy, folks. I like to observe and analyse, and a lot of that times it can come across as quite negative to people. And it's not intended to bum you out, folks. I'm not saying these things because I want you to be miserable, and if it does make you miserable, I recommend you don't watch, because what's the point, right? You want to watch something that you find entertaining and fun and doesn't bum you out. And the last thing I want to do in any video is bum people out, but that's what sometimes can happen, you know, you're not for everybody. And speaking of not for everybody, we have another sequence of combat in here, which is a good one. So at the top there's a Destined, and he's backed up by a couple of Chosens. All I'm going to do is focus on stripping his shield and getting rid of him, because he's dangerous. And there's something that I need to mention about this level. I've taken Jal with me because it's kind of his mission. I've taken Drak with me because he's kind of the tank. And I've taken a shotgun, which is the Disciple, I think it's called, or Discipline, I forget what name it is. And I've taken the Falcon because it's my go-to gun until I get the Scorpion, which I'm researching once I have enough Milky Way points. When we get to the boss of this zone, which is the boss I spoke about at the beginning of the walkthrough, we're going to transition from this footage to later on. And the reason for this is I couldn't beat the boss. And that's kind of wrong, but it's honest, and I like to be honest. I could have killed him, but it would have taken hours, and it would have been a lucky run. And I didn't want to give you a lucky bullshit run where, you know, all the angels blew the trumpets at the correct time and the wall fell on the boss. I didn't want that to be what it was. I wanted to get it where I won because I played well. And in my opinion, any walkthrough that tells you to hold your breath and hope to win is a strategy that is either badly designed because the level was badly designed, or because somebody didn't find a better way of doing it. And some of my walkthroughs have had, you know, you've got to get kind of lucky on this point because it's full of bullshit, and there are times when you can't avoid it. In this fight you can, but it has to be explicitly explained. I came here without doing any side missions, without doing anything. All I've done is what the game asks of you to progress the story. So I've come here with the base amount of weapons, even though I've researched level 2 weapons. I've come here with the base amount of levels because I've not farmed experience or anything. There's another big fight in this room, so be careful. If they get too close, pull back to this door, the door will close, and you can keep opening it, using your powers, doing some damage, and waiting for the doors to close. It's cheesy, but it works, and if you need to win, be cheesy. This is where the shotgun really shined, actually. This shotgun's not great, but it's also not bad either. So, the explicit explanation. If you come here without any kind of augmentation, or any kind of win strategy, as the Anointed sneaks up on us just then and strips me nearly dead, absolutely terrifying enemy, and Drak steals my cover because he's being an idiot. If you come here without any kind of augmented damage, or any kind of, you know, waterproof strategy, you're going to be at an impasse. You're going to get into a fight against a boss where it takes all of your ammunition to break the shield, to then do almost no damage to see the shield come back. And then you go to the ammo crate, you pick up ammo, and then you break the shield, and it takes 5 to 7 minutes to break the shield, and then you do a little bit of damage, and by the time you've done a little bit of damage, he summons in some buddies, and you get caught out of cover, and they kill you. And then you've just wasted 15 minutes of your life where you were nowhere near close enough to killing the boss. And it's a strategy that literally depended on you outplaying the enemies, trying your best, sweating like you're an MLG pro, for no other reason than because you do not have the tools for the job. And that's the situation that I faced. And on my first playthrough of this game, on Insanity, when I did it blind, I beat the boss. But I beat him by getting lucky, because he killed himself. I don't know how it happened, but I'm going to explain it when we fight. So, when it came to this walkthrough, all I thought I had to do was run to this helipad, and it'd be fine. It wasn't fine. At all. And I tried for about 2 hours to kill him. And I know when something's doable, and when something is just bullshit, and not worth the time that I'm investing. Because you know to yourself, you know when you're the problem, or when the game's the problem. And there's always a feeling in your gut, and it might not be the easiest thing to accept, Because people don't like quitting, people don't like to think that they're not good enough, but it's true. You know, we're level 8, for fuck's sake. We're tiny in the grand scheme of the game. But we're still able to do every single fight in this level, except for the final one, because the final one's crap, basically. So what I did, guys, is I came off the planet, I reloaded a save before we'd entered here. I had to refight that snow boss, that snowfield battlefield that I was talking over before. And then I got the reconnaissance perk. Because of that, there were some treasure chests on some levels. So I ran around both Eos and... what else did I do? I did one other planet. I can't remember which one it was. It might have just been Eos. But I ran around Eos picking up all the reconnaissance packs. And I got some equipment, some N7 stuff, some rare stuff and everything. And while I was doing that, I might have fought a couple of Ket or something. So I might have gained a level or two. I don't think there was any real levels gained. But what I did do is I came back with, I think, a level 2 Scorpion, which is pretty strong for the place, and a level 2 Dan shotgun, which is amazingly powerful. And the reason I was able to kill him is because of that shotgun. And it's the reason why I've told you kind of people who are listening now, get it. Get that shotgun. It might not be great 70 hours into the game when you've got a tier 7 version of it and you're still playing on Insanity and the enemies take it like beasts, which doesn't make any sense, but that's what happened to me yesterday. But I guarantee you, for the purposes of beating the game, this shotgun is going to be a lifesaver. It kills Anointed in 2 hits. 2 hits. Sometimes 1 if you get a good crit. It is a beautifully strong weapon. It's so good, it really is, but it's also kind of frustrating to use. It has a slight tracking property, and because the accuracy of the gun isn't the best, it doesn't really go where you want it to go all the time. So it's one of those weapons that can be a little bit hit and miss, but when it hits, you feel it. And that's what's really important here. And that's the strategy that I'm going to be implementing. I'm going to be using my abilities to cause havoc. I'm going to be using splash damage to cause even more havoc, and then when I know I've got something good happening with that shotgun, we're going to finish everything off with the shotgun. If you don't want to do it this way, there are plenty of ways that you can augment this strategy, and a really good one is, believe it or not, with the cloak. Remember how on the first video I mentioned that I got the cloak and I just wanted to experiment with it and I didn't think it was very good? I was really wrong. That cloak is the single most broken ability in this game. I had no idea, guys, I really didn't. Do you know why? The moment you use it, everything stops shooting you. And you can spec so that you can recharge your life when you're in it, you can spec so it recharges really quickly, and you can spec so that it lasts a bit longer. So in any mission where they want you to go into a hostile area where there's enemies everywhere and you have to hack 3 things, you can do it without killing anybody, because the cloak is that powerful. The only exception I've seen is the Saboteur. A Turian Saboteur who had yellow life, so armoured life, and a shield, who's running around trying to hack me, he could see through it. And I think maybe a Krogan did. But aside from those 2 fellas, the standard Ket, none of them saw through it. I think maybe the Destined will, but for the most, it just doesn't work that way. It's insane. Absolutely insane. And when you use that ability and you do any attack coming out of it, you get a massive damage increase. So you can use that really good shotgun that I'm talking about, which isn't the one I'm using right now, and if you come out of the cloak and shoot it, you do like a double damage crit. You can do incredible amounts of damage with it. Your DPS is astronomical, and your survivability goes through the roof. And I did Jarl's friendship mission, loyalty mission, sorry, friendship mission. Sounds like something out of Care Bears, doesn't it? As I'm getting rushed by 2 Destins, so be very careful here. Grenades, no cover, really tricky battlefield this, but really fun too. And don't forget blind fire, very powerful. So, if you've used Jarl quite a lot, one of his loyalty mission involves going to this specific place and meeting up with these specific people. And at the very end, you have to hack a bunch of bombs before they blow up. And when you're on Insanity, it's crazy, because those Angarans kill you so fast, and you have to drop into the room, and when you drop into the room, they're everywhere, and they're just flanking you, so you're getting brutalized. I had a really tough time with it. Then I used that cloak, and I hacked every single station without anybody killing me, and then jumped back up to the area that I came from, went all the way up there for the one Saboteur that spawns and comes behind you, killed him, and then just picked everybody off as they tried to come towards me. And it was easy. Did it first time once I realised how powerful that cloak is. So this is kind of a public service announcement to anybody having trouble with this difficulty. the cloaking device is god tier. You do not have to do high flashing aerodynamic crazy dodges in every single second. You can use that cloak, you can sprint a week away, sit behind a rock, and then come back with better firepower or a sniper rifle or something, and do some incredible damage. And it respawns so quick. It's really strong. And if you're something like a Vanguard, you can come in, hit, use all your abilities, and then go into cloak and run off, and then when everything's spec'd back, or maybe immediately because you've spec'd correctly so that you can keep using abilities and they all feed into each other, you can just keep warping between dudes and causing havoc. And I imagine that's probably a really successful build as well. But what you're witnessing here is me just using some cover, using my Falcon to do some damage, and I think that's the end of the fight. Pretty exciting fight, that one. And I was kind of conflicted because this is me taking this level on at a pretty low level when I've just come from the last mission. And all of the fights were moments where I didn't think I'd win. That fight just then, I accepted at the beginning that I was going to die, which is why I was playing so recklessly, because I didn't expect to survive. And then when I did, I want to use that footage because it's more interesting for you as a viewer. You get to see something kind of crazy. Admittedly, it's going to get all those people that doubt difficulty to go, "Oh, you're not playing on insanity. If you were, during that firefight, you would have died, blah, blah, blah." Those people who cannot be saved, unfortunately. But I don't care, because I don't do this to impress anybody. I don't do this, you know, to inflate an ego. I do this to try and help, and I do it because it's fun. And I've never lied about the difficulty once, and I don't really get why anybody does, but anyhow, the conflict for me was that when I came back with that other shotgun, every one of these fights was just a melt fest. I just destroyed everything. Good old Destin's dropping in 2 shots once I drop the shield, sometimes dropping in 1 if you hit them in the head, but because of how awkward the shotgun fires, it's tricky to get headshots. But I love these active moments where I'm flanking around pillars and I'm dodging and they're flanking me and I have to quickly recover because it's getting bad and the team is dying and you're trying to revive. I feel like it's exciting. As we take on this final Destined who's running away, he's just over here, so I'm going to try and punch him, and the punch shattered him, which was nice. Have I spoke about the punching? I probably should. The melee in the game is kind of awkward and I don't think it's as well designed as it could have been. But if you use the Remnant Cryo Glove, when you punch an enemy, you freeze them. And it gives you amount of time, a pretty large amount of time too, on an unupgraded glove, to get away, to deal damage, or just to wait for stuff to respawn and regenerate. So punching an enemy is actually a really solid strategy. I didn't think it would be, but the Cryo Glove has saved my life in a few situations. I just wish you could punch the Ascendant once the shield dropped and freeze him, and then you and your team can just mess him up, because guess who's about to turn up, guys? This is it. This is your checkpoint right here. This is where this battle starts. So to try and reenact the glitch I got, I run straight down here because that's what I did. I jump here, boost forward, and I run onto the helipad in the middle of all this chaos, and I get behind the Ascendant. And I think what happened is I think he tried to grab me, teleported over here, and when he teleported inside the geometry, and it killed him. It was a kill box. So he died, and a cutscene played. And it played literally after I'd finished killing some of these enemies, because I was just on the helipad shooting some of the Destins that are knocking about in the glass. The smoky gas, sorry, not glass. And once I'd killed all the enemies, and the Ascendant normally goes, "Now you have to contend with me," or whatever he says. It ended. The fight ended. And I didn't get it. I didn't understand what was going on. I just took it. And I'd struggled for a while trying to kill him. You have no idea the horror stories that were. But this is the fight. So the strategy, you can see the shotgun I've got on is not the same one we were using through the level. This is the awful looking shotgun that's incredibly good. So I'm going to pick up Jal because I like my team to be alive. What he's doing there is a single shot followed by a second single shot. And he didn't do it that time, he teleported away. To dodge that, the moment the sound stops charging, if you press B, he almost never hits you, so you can dodge those moves really effortlessly. But watch what happens when I hit this orb with the shotgun spot on it. Watch what happens if I can get one. Maybe... oh, I missed twice, that's terrible. Come on. Do you see it just then? It took off at like 1/5 of his HP. Which is a lot if you've done this fight with weaker weapons, trust me guys. It's a lot. See, look, it's gone. And we can attack him. So I hit him with a few combinations. Try and hit him... look, it's back up. Shield's back up. There you go. Does that look fair to you, that he can get that shield up that quickly? This is the big orb. You can dash to the side of it, or you can jump over it if you're in a better place of geometry. If you go close to him, you can bait his grab, and his grab is not dangerous at all as long as you don't get stuck. There's his second shot. There's his teleport. Look at that damage. So beautiful. He's going for a grab here. Teleports away, teleports over here. This is the big orb. I get 2 shots on his orb, and then wait. As he shoots at them, I shoot at it, and it's off again. And we can do some good damage. We can hit him with some combinations. Hopefully he doesn't get it back immediately. A couple more shots. This is wait. Look at how long he's giving us now. This is so rare. He never does this. And then it's back up. And he's probably going to summon some buddies. When he summons his friends, get back onto that helipad area, which is not a helipad. It's like a Taurus, but I call it a helipad because why not? I'm going to sprint over here to pick up some ammo. I am not scared of this fight at all, guys. You might be thinking, Jesus, you're crazy. There's a boss and there's enemies. This is on Insanity. What are you doing out of cover? I've done this fight for about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. So I'm very comfortable moving around the arena with the boss, because the boss doesn't scare me at all. Because the only reason I couldn't win is because I couldn't deal enough damage. He wasn't a threat. His attacks weren't killing me. We were just having 20-minute fights where he wouldn't die, and then I'd get rushed by Destins who turned up midway through. So it was just really awkward and annoying. But I come back over here to take on the enemies, because the enemies do not rush you when you're on this Taurus. They don't know how to do it. It's one of those weird AI scriptings where the boss has difficulty coming up here as well, so he'll just mess around on the different stairs and things. And then once those enemies are dead, we can focus on him. And if your team is unfortunately caught somewhere, you can maybe pick them up and maybe, you know, get back into it. But if you have damage here, there's nothing to be afraid of. There really isn't. Like, you see, that hit me square on and it didn't kill me. Where's the danger? And then he did it again, and that time it got hit by the wall. So, we're not in any real peril here. It's just, it's a long fight, and you don't do the damage you should do. That's the only reason it's even remotely interesting. Look at that shotgun. Oh my god, it's so good. So here's another Destined. Giles interacting with him. Give him a bit of that Angaran special. The boss is firing at our buddies. He's killed both the buddies, but he will not come this way because he gets stuck on the geometry because he's stupid. Look, he's trying to teleport to me, but he can't. So if I stay back here, or if I go over here, I can probably revive them through the piece of cover. I nearly died then because of the stupid melee being the same button as the revive. I give it up as a bad job, move back over to this piece of cover, and I'm going to try and get rid of this guy's shield, which, if that shot had have hit, it would have worked, but it didn't, alas. And now he's stunned, and now he's dead. So now, it's me and the boss. And I'm going to go and pick up my buddies. Why? Because the boss is a bitch. He's the least threatening enemy in the game. He just has moves that go through cover. That's literally it. His moves go through cover, and he has a one-hit kill grab. Everything else is just lazy. But killing him is such an ordeal. I'm looking for a HP refill, if you're wondering. So there's one just there. Get my life back. Hopefully pull him away from those 2 people who are now prone, waiting for me to help them. Got some ammunition. He's going to do the big charge orb. I'm going to run into it and take massive shield damage, and then the hit from the orb itself takes nearly all my HP. That was dangerous, but it was only dangerous because of how little I respect this enemy. So pick up Jarl. He can't shoot me here because of the geometry. He's going to try and come close, but if he comes close, he does the grab, and it's the easiest move to get away from in theory. So here is the second person. Pick them up, and he's charging the orb at Giles, so Drax should get up just fine, and we can go and pick up some more HP. Because I want to be topped up, because there's a final wave of enemies, and in the final wave, there are Anointeds. But just a show of hands, guys, to the Mass Effect fans, or just maybe my fans, or maybe a new person. That'd be awesome if you've never watched a video before, and you come in here and you've listened for this long. Do you think that this looks like a well-designed enemy and a well-designed fight, where all you're fighting is your ammo count and your tedium level? You know, this is not about having to dodge and having to move like a madman and truly understand what this boss does because he's so interesting and so aggressive and so well-designed. It's shit. It's just complete crap. The only reason he's still alive is because I don't have enough to kill him. And it's all because of how bullshit that orb is and how big his shield is and how little time he gives you to hurt him. But the next time it goes down, he's dead. Oh no, he's not. He's got too much life. Like, we're hitting him with everything. And look, he's summoning more people now, so this is okay. I'm going to probably go and grab some ammo. And then we're going to take on the people. Do I think I've got enough ammo? What am I doing? I'm just going to back up. I'm thinking I've probably got enough. I should swap to the Scorpion, because the Scorpion isn't doing damage to the boss. That's good play. So we've got, what, is that 24 bullets? It's really blurry on this preview screen. 8 in the clip, and I think it's about 24 in the reserve. And none of the enemies are flanking, you'll notice, because the enemies can't flank you here. That's why this position is so strong. And the boss is coming, but he's going to get stuck on that side archway because I'm standing here, and it manipulates his AI. So he'll start firing shit through the wall, but for the most he won't do anything, and hopefully we'll get the attention of his friends will come, we clear them out, and then it's just us and the boss again. And it's back to very simple fight, made awkward because of ammo, shield, and mobs. That's it. And it leads me to an interesting point, because you've seen everything at this point. You're not going to see anything new. This is just a shit fight, and there's plenty more coming, but we're stronger then, so it goes a bit quicker. Like, there might be a special trick to this. There might be a certain setup that's fantastic, that counters that shield, you know, perfectly. I tried Incendiary, you know, I tried Incinerate, I tried the different ammos, the cryo ammo and everything, the flame ammo and the electric ammo. I tried the Cobra missile, because I thought in a perfect world, when I broke his shield, I could hit him with a Cobra missile and it'd instantly kill him, and I'd save you the suffering of this boring boss. But it doesn't instantly kill him. It takes off about a fourth of his life. It's really depressing. It might be better to use the Cobra on the shield. Maybe it kills the shield. That'd be nice. And that'd be a good use of Cobra missiles, because let's face it, in the campaign, on Insanity, they're trash. They don't do anything. They're not good enough, they're expensive, and they're quite rare. So there's 2 shotgun shells doing a lot of damage. There's trying to stun him with Overload. And look at that, he should have died then, but instead he gets his fucking shield back. Oh, he did die, and he got his shield back because the game's buggy. So there you go. He's now got a passively active shield on a dead enemy, because once again, Andromeda is a crazy game. But that's the end of the fight. I can't say enough how much I think this game gets the idea of bigger enemies / boss enemies wrong. Because between these fellas and between the architects, they're always the most miserable fights in the game. They should be the best. They should be the highlight. They should be the ones that are remembered, the ones that everybody enjoys. But I would gladly take a room full of Ket over that guy any day, because the Ket are interesting. Each of the enemies serve a purpose. And I enjoy fighting them because they try to flank you, they challenge you, they put pressure on you, they throw grenades. They've got an infantry for every area. It's all well-versed, well-designed. None of it is especially interesting and magical and going to change your life. But look at this guy. Moves to the one position where he can shoot me in cover. What a beast! And then he stands there because he knows he's a threat, but he's got no shield, and I can just stun him and we can finish him off. Like, this is interesting. This is demanding gameplay. We've got a good piece of cover. We've got a Destined over there with his shield being a bitch. Drax running at him like a psychopath, like a great white shark ready to eat. He's not going to end well for him. His shotgun's aimed at me for some reason when there's 2 guys rushing him. That's interesting. These Ascendants, uninteresting. Architects, worst enemy in the game. Because it's just boring. You shoot its leg, it gets to a threshold, its face is vulnerable. You shoot its face, it gets to a threshold where it summons enemies. The enemies are more dangerous than the goddamn architect. And then you have to do this and repeat it 5 or 6 times, and by the end of it you've killed a small army, and you're bored. That's not what bigger enemies should be. And I have no idea why they've done it that way. It's that weird thing. Like, half of the bigger, grander encounters in this game aren't very good. But the skirmishes that you can have at any point are some of the toughest, most interesting fights, because you're up against an equally capable enemy, and it's really fun. Like, the spawns are a problem. I've not spoke about them too much, and I'm going to talk about them in probably a later video where I've got a good example. But this is one of the only Mass Effect games where I can remember actively being against a piece of cover, doing a full firefight, and then having a shuttle land behind me and drop a bunch of people that kill me because I didn't hear the shuttle. And admittedly, you think you would hear it because I think they make a noise, but how many times do you get snuck up on by anointeds? It happens a lot. You would think a big, you know, boomer class type enemy that's trundling along, shaking like Mr. T's chains with his massive Gatling gun, would make a sound, but they're deceptively sneaky. And it happens all the time on this game. Enemies that spawn on you, behind you, all kinds of bizarre moments. And that can be frustrating when you die because you get spawned on, and this game is great at doing that, so I don't think that that's one of its many virtues. It's definitely a sin. And this encounter is really fun. So we're going to be moving aggressively towards this extraction point, and there's a lot of enemies. But the cover is good. Do not use the cover to the right of me here. That cover can be broken. That cover that's glowing kind of amber, a bronze colour, you know, the glass, that can be broken too. These big pillars cannot be shattered, and these boxes will not destroy either. So you want to stay behind the cover that you know is not destructible. Because if you don't, you're in for a world of hurt. But there's a couple of chosen here. The Moshai is going to give you a shield, but you don't really have to use it. And here we have an anointed rushing me, but look at this shotgun. Look at that. It just neutralizes him completely. And this is only a level 2 version of this gun. It's going to get way better. Look at it, just beautiful gun. It kills them so quickly. Here's another anointed. Use a couple of the falcon shots to take off his shield. Here's going to be the overload. Here's going to be one of the shells when I reload. Look at that, 2 shells and he's already nearly dead. I don't know if I've got the attachments on it yet to make it even more powerful, but I cannot speak any more favourably about how this shotgun really helped turn the tide of battle, because the enemies are so prone to coming close that if you have a good weapon for that, you're going to do very well. And the shotgun is just, it was designed for this game. And the shotguns have always been pretty good, so don't sleep on them, but in this game, it's really, really powerful. Like a lot of people are talking about the Vanquisher, and the Vanquisher is a great weapon, especially on PC. On PC, aiming is just easier. Of course, it still takes practice like everything else does, but it's objectively better than aiming with a controller. You know, you can just imagine how many times you've clicked an icon on your PC. Now imagine clicking on an enemy's head who's not moving. That's an instant kill with the Vanquisher on a lot of the standard enemies, because that weapon is really powerful, and it's got a big clip, and it does incredible damage. That weapon can do great things for you, and you're going to see a lot of it in the multiplayer. But on console, because of the way that the control feels, because of the dead zones, because of the sensitivity, the aiming doesn't quite feel 100% to me. It's about 90%, and there's 10% of weird feeling that disabling the auto-aim helped a lot, but it's still there. It doesn't feel like... You know when you play a game enough and you feel accurate, you feel like you can get your sticks to put that reticle where you need it to be, and you can do it faster than other people, and it's the reason why you might be really good at that multiplayer that you like? I don't feel like that in this game, and I've put about 70 hours into it now. I've put a decent amount of time. I've beaten it twice on Insanity, and I'm at about 75% completion on my Insanity run, where I've done viabilities to 100% on all the levels that you can land on. I've done all the main missions, all the side missions. I've just got like tasks and certain things to finish up. I've done a lot. I've played a lot, but I still don't feel like I would be as accurate as I would be, for instance, if I played Uncharted, or if I played Gears of War, or if I played insert any other third-person shooter, like Ghost Recon Wildlands. I feel way sharper in that game than I do in this game because of how the aiming feels. And this is all a personal thing, and what you're used to with your sticks and everything. But it's definitely true. So I don't think that the Vanquisher is going to be as dominant as what you're going to see on PC, but the reason that it's still good on consoles is because even if you do a body shot, it makes enemies flinch. And because it's a body shot and it does a lot of damage, you can shoot them 2 to 3 times and kill them. So you can get a kill, maybe 2 to 3 kills every clip depending on what you're shooting. And if you want a good example of just how good that gun can be, there are 2 streamers who are incredibly good players on almost any game that they try and play. The first one is Xcal. If you've never heard of Xcal, you probably haven't been on YouTube for a long time, but Xcal is an OG COD player. He plays all games, he doesn't just play Call of Duty, but that's what he was kind of known for. And he is somebody that if you've watched him play Battlefield 1, the dude's amazing. He carries teams. He's just a really, really good first-person shooter player. And he's got a really sarcastic and kind of acerbic personality, which I love, because he's dry, he's abrasive, but he's funny. I like him a lot. I don't know him, you know, I'm kind of like a fanboy, you could say. Who doesn't fanboy out? But watch him play this game on that multiplayer using that gun. All the kill feed is the entire time is his name and headshots, because he's good with mouse and keyboard, and he's really good at playing Mass Effect, because, you know, he's good at all games he plays. And another guy by the name of Siritron, or Syrian, he's an Australian streamer. I have never seen anybody play stuff like Black Ops 2 like he does. This is a guy that gets 70 kills nearly every game. He's just an absolute monster, and he's a really nice guy, he's really humble, and he's funny too. He's another one of those kind of, you know, witty, sarcastic kind of guys. He plays Titanfall 2, he's very good at that game. He's got 54,000 kills on that game, to give you an idea. The guy's just a beast, and when you watch him play this, once again, he really liked the multiplayer in Mass Effect 3, so he's a beast at this as well. And watching those two guys with mouse and keyboard use the Vanquisher, it makes you think that that gun is god tier. And then you put it on console, and it's really good. It kills a lot of the dudes in headshots and 2 body shots and everything, but you're not doing headshots like they're doing. Because on sticks, I mean, I got some pretty impressive footage with it, but I didn't get anything close to what they're doing. Because let's face it, you know, I don't care how good you are on controller, you can't be as good as you are on PC. And that's coming from a controller player. I'm not a PC guy. It's something that fascinates me and I want to learn, but I'm not that person. I would never, ever, ever defend, you know, console over it. And console players can be equally fantastic too in a lot of ways, but it's just not the same. It's the difference between running and cycling. You will never run as fast or have the same kind of endurance that you probably would on a bike, because a bike is just engineering and the human body making sweet music. And of course there'll be somebody in the comments now saying, well, but Mo Farah can run for 9 weeks and all he needs is a handful of muesli. It's like, Mo Farah is a beast, you know, but that's still, you know, you get the point I'm trying to make. And I think it'd be interesting if somebody were to make some kind of, you know, dissertation or some thesis or some kind of just paper on defending controller over PC. Because you get those people that argue that a lot, don't you? How many times have you seen it on the internet? People arguing between controller and PC, and the PC people think that everybody on the controller is a child. The guys on controller think that they would do way better on PC than they probably would, even though PC suffers from aim assist on controllers massively, so those people can do some ridiculous things, but it's not them, it's the game. Like, turn aim assist off on PC, and you have PC. Turn aim assist off on consoles, and you have a bunch of people looking up and down, aiming around, not killing anything, because playing without aim assist is pretty tough. It can be done though, and that's why, you know, video games are so interesting to watch. Because everybody has a different ability with them, everybody has a different specialty when they play them, and there are some people that are just really, really gifted with it. But we are now on the Angaran home planet. I think it's called Aya, this one. And what you're watching here is, I wanted to leave a little bit of shop footage in, just so you could have an example of the kind of things that I'm looking at and I'm buying. I'm going to be trimming out most of this later on, plus I'm not going to be doing too much of this later on because I get everything I need. But just to give you a baseline, because whenever I make walkthroughs, a lot of people like to follow, especially walkthroughs of RPGs, they like to follow the build and they like to follow exactly what I'm purchasing and what I'm looking at. And this is the type of stuff I remove because I feel like it doesn't add much to the guide, it's kind of just wasted time, wasted space. But there are people who really appreciate seeing some of these features, and because we've just unlocked Aya, what I'm doing here, folks, is I'm running through this zone talking to all the merchants to see if there's anything I can buy that's going to give me an advantage. I'm looking for stuff like Cobra missiles, I'm looking for upgrades and mods for the weapons, maybe a new weapon that I could equip that'll prove to be really, really interesting. And I'm also going to be looking around the area because if there's a couple of things to scan, it can help me research when I need to research. Because that's kind of what, you know, Mass Effect is all about on this particular variant. It's just a shame that the scanning doesn't work as well as I would like it to. But let's talk about some of the spawn points that I mentioned. So in this game, there are a lot of opportunities during battle for you to get flanked without you even knowing it's happening. And it happens a lot out in the open world. The open world is both a draw and a negative of this game. I think it's diluted a lot of the quality because open world always will. It takes too much effort to fill these empty worlds with emptiness, apparently. And we have all this real estate and nothing interesting to do in it. And it happens a lot in these games, and I find it to be very sad. But there is still an appeal to the particular, you know, exploration and fun that you can have in this game. But you'll bump into a Ket base just out in the sticks, driving around in that car that has a charm to it that I do enjoy, but when it comes to climbing any kind of cliff face with it, it's a bloody nightmare. And you'll get into a firefight, and it'll be you against maybe 20 Ket, and they'll be flanking everywhere, and there'll not be great amounts of cover because they're fortified bases. They're not designed for you to have all these good hiding places on the outside of them. They're all good when you're inside them. And you'll be fighting these enemies, and you'll get into a good skirmish, and you'll nearly die, and you'll survive, and you'll be, you know, death will be licking your heels, but you'll be doing okay. And then a dropship will come and drop dudes behind you, or it'll drop dudes to the side of you, or it'll drop dudes, you know, in a place where you really don't need dudes to be. For instance, you're taking somebody on the east front, and you're keeping them at bay, and you're having a good time. Well, you'll get shot from behind, and as you turn around, there'll be a dropship flying off, and they've dropped 5 dudes there, and they kill you. And it happens all the time. It happens during nearly all the encounters that you get just out in the world. There are some missions that have it happen and it's kind of a preset thing. But one of the things you'll notice, because I noticed it a lot, especially if you play on Insanity for the full game and all the side stuff, the loyalty missions and the main missions are all designed far, far better than a lot of all the other side stuff. And I know that's like, oh, duh. You know, that's why they call it side missions, because they couldn't be asked to make them and half of them aren't worth seeing. Well, normally in Mass Effect, a lot of them are worth seeing, but in this one, they're particularly weak in a lot of ways. Some of them are fun, some of them are not. But those main missions, not only are they checkpointed better, so you generally get more checkpoints spaced out in an even manner that makes it feel a lot fairer, but the encounters are also very predetermined. You'll go into a room, there'll be a ton of dudes there. You'll hit a button, and a ton of dudes will start rushing the room, and you'll have to fight them. It's all very controlled, it's all very designed, and I like that, and that's where I think the game shines as far as, you know, the encounters. When you're out doing some of those weird bases or some of those weird missions, like help the Resistance take down that base, where you go into a base, the first 2 rooms have got so many enemies in them that you use all your bullets just to get into the base, and then the base has 20, 50 more enemies attacking you. Then once you've felled a legion of dudes just to get to the objective, it turns out the objective is a hacking symbol, and when you hack it, there's 4 other things to hack and they're dropping dudes on top of you. So you die trying to get to the next one because there's no cover and all that area that you just cleared out is now full of dudes and bad people shooting you. And then the checkpoint's at the bottom before you even did those first 2 rooms. And then you just kind of go, I'm not doing this, this is annoying. Or you drop the difficulty down and you do it that way, which is what I believe a lot of people will be doing. It doesn't feel as good. Like, in that sequence, when you touch that button, that should have been a checkpoint, but because it's in this open world, the game decided not to have it that way. And there's a lot of aspects of Mass Effect Andromeda that are treated that way. There are these moments where the game just doesn't bother to save you progress, and it wouldn't bother me if all the other Mass Effects were like that. They're not. And I think that's why I want to speak about it in these videos, because you'll notice, up to this point, I've tried to point out that there is quality in this game. There is a lot of things to enjoy, and it's nowhere near as bad as some of the reviews are telling you it is. And if you focus on nothing but the negatives, it's going to make the game sound atrocious, because let's face it, I couldn't talk about every negative in this video series because it wouldn't be long enough, and some of these videos are an hour long, and I still wouldn't be able to cover them all because I'm having glitches to this day. Yesterday, I was in that AVP menu, you know, sending out my Apex people to get those points, or the strike mission menu, sorry. I got a result page popped up with my Krogan guy showing my experience, and it glitched. I couldn't get the screen to go away, and I was moving the menus behind it, but I couldn't see because there's this massive splash screen that you win the game. And I quit out and I load back in, and I quit out and I load back in, and it was still up and it was still up. And then one of the times when I quit out, it soft locked on a loading screen. It was really, really strange. Like, there was one bit yesterday where I did an objective in a base, and you know how it dips the screen to black as you're, like at the end of a battle to cue a cutscene? Well, it didn't cue the cutscene, so it just dimmed the screen to black. I could still see certain elements of the hood, and then it never stopped loading. It was just loading in the bottom corner, loading and loading and loading, and then when I reloaded, there'd not been a checkpoint for 20 minutes, so I had to do 3 fights again. And stuff like that just shouldn't exist, because Mass Effect 2 didn't do that, and Mass Effect 1 didn't do that, and Mass Effect 3 was probably the cleanest, most polished one out of all of them, and it was still, you know, janky like most of BioWare's games are, but it didn't do that to you. And that's both technical issues that the game is rife with, but also just a complete lack of awareness of where it should be saving your data. And to me, it's unacceptable and baffling, and it's definitely a tick against this game. But thank you for watching, and you take care now.